What's going on, guys? Alex here, back at you with another episode of Field Maintenance, and today we're going to go ahead and do the field maintenance for the Planet Eclipse Etha. These guns have been getting ever more popular, especially since a little while ago when they dropped their price from $400 to $350. They've been constantly coming out with new colors and making sure all the updates are nice and solid, so these things are always performing at their best. So at this point, I'm going to use a rental Etha, so I can go ahead and knock out two birds with one stone and maintain my Etha for my rental fleet and show you guys how to do it. So let's go ahead and bring the camera in so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to need a 1/4 Allen key, a small adjustable crescent wrench, using Planet Eclipse grease here, and a rag to get everything off of. Just to make my life easier, I'm just going to go ahead and take the barrel off. Not really necessary, but it's really long and it kind of gets in the way, moving the gun all about, that kind of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and take the 1/4 Allen key and unscrew the back cap here. Alright, now that that's out, I'm going to go ahead and pull that out, get that spring out of there. Go ahead and put the gun aside at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take everything apart before I wipe it down. So bolt slides right off. The firing can, just go ahead and unscrew that and put the firing can down. This is the point where we're going to need to take off this valve joiner right here in the middle. I think the easiest way to do it, go ahead and take the same 1/4 Allen key used to unscrew it from the marker, put it in the back so that holds it. And then we're going to take your adjustable crescent wrench, and you'll see right here on the valve joiner there's a flat spot right here and there's a flat spot right on the other side. So we can go ahead and take that crescent wrench, get it right on those flat spots, and then you can just kind of unscrew it from there. That one is a little tight. So once you get it started, you can just do it by hand. I'm just going to move this light just to make sure everybody can see what I'm doing. There we go. So you can just take this out by hand, so you're left with the valve body at the back. And you can go ahead and push that firing poppet out through the back of the valve joiner. And if you have the springless poppet, you're going to have this little silver piece that's in the back of the firing poppet. If you don't have the springless poppet, a spring will be at that same place. Either or, it doesn't really matter. They had an issue with the very first gen of springs, but that was since fixed, and some Ethas started coming with the springless poppet. Some don't. It's been an issue that's been resolved, so if yours has a spring and it still shoots fine, you're completely fine. But our particular ones, I put the springless poppets in our rental fleet. So go ahead and at this point just wipe everything off from the old grease, all the grime that's been sitting in there. If you have the springless poppet, make sure you wipe this little bitty piece off as well. Wipe off that can. I'm going to wipe off the inside of the can as well. Go ahead and wipe down that valve joiner. Now, I'm using a microfiber rag. You're completely free to use paper towels or any other kind of rag, really, as long as if you're using anything that has like loose threads or anything like that, make sure that when you're wiping all this stuff down, you're not leaving any residue, any little fibers or anything like that. Those will build up in the system and will cause you problems eventually. Also, you want to make sure you wipe down the spring as well the best you can. If you can get at the insides of that spring, right in the insides of the coils, that's where a lot of grime seems to build up a lot in my experience. And go ahead and wipe down this bolt. Alrighty, so now we're just going to go ahead and re-grease everything using Planet Eclipse grease here. Get a touch on the springless poppet guide and just go ahead and put that back in the firing poppet. And now there's a couple O-rings here on the springless poppet guide. You got one here, here, and here. So we're going to go ahead and grease those. It should be enough for the whole deal. So if I just kind of move into the camera here, you can see kind of how much grease I'm putting on these O-rings. It's enough to fill those gaps and really cover the O-ring, but you can still see the O-ring through the grease, which is what you're going to want. And something extra, I'm going to put some grease on this firing poppet. If you're looking at the back end, the fatter end right here, you'll see this ridge right here. I'm going to go ahead and coat the whole outside of that in grease. What that's going to do is it's going to grease up the O-ring on the inside of this valve joiner, so you don't have to like put any on a Q-tip or anything and try and squeeze some in there and then risk having all those Q-tip fibers sitting there. So that's what I'm doing right there. See, that's just kind of coated and make that more of an even coat. So that's just kind of coated in grease right there. So at this point, we can go ahead and put the firing poppet back in the valve joiner, and it goes in with the small end of the firing poppet goes in the smaller end of the valve joiner. This is the back end, and this is the front end of the poppet. Just goes in like that, and just push it all the way through, like so. And we're just going to put a touch of grease right here on these two O-rings on the outside of the valve joiner. And at this point, we can go ahead and take this whole unit with the firing poppet and the valve joiner and put it back in the valve body. So just slide it in until it stops, and then you can start screwing it in by hand. And at the end, I'm just going to give it a nice little hand tight nudge with the crescent wrench. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 1/4 Allen key back in the back of the valve body, or the back cap, whatever you like to call it. And then I'm just going to take the adjustable wrench and make sure that's nice and snug. You don't have to crank on it, just nice snug hand tight's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and hit these outside O-rings on this valve body with a small coat of grease. You don't have to really super coat these. These are static O-rings. They do not move. They really don't get any of the friction or anything that goes on with the firing cycle. But you do want these to seal. So I'm going to make sure there's enough on there so they don't dry out or anything like that. So that's what we have. At this point, we can go ahead and take that firing can and screw that back on. Just go ahead and right till it stops, hand tight. This big black buffer right here, no grease on there. Just leave that how it is. If it's got a bunch of stuff on it like this one does, just go ahead and wipe that off. You want that dry. That's just a bumper for the bolt. If you put grease or anything on like that, when the bolt goes back and forth, it will stick. So bolt on, spring on, and there you go. You have a completed firing assembly. You can go ahead and put that back in your Etha. Use the Allen key to crank that back down. And there you have it. You have a completed super basic maintenance for your Planet Eclipse Etha bolt system. That's going to be enough just to keep you going on a day-to-day basis, until that every once in a while you do want to do a deep clean and like hit that rag and everything like that. So there you go, guys. That's all you need to do to keep your Planet Eclipse Etha running on a day-to-day basis. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate it if you click that like button. It really helps out the channel. And that's all I got for you guys today. I will see you next time.